Mike Owens and Inside Fighting here, joined today by Nathan Kelly, who returns to action on the PFL Road to Dubai card in a couple of weeks' time. Nath, always a pleasure, my man. How are things with you today?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on again. Always a pleasure as well. Yeah, training's going good. Weight is falling off me, so I'm pretty happy at the minute. Yeah.
For those who can't tell, Nate's not in Ireland, given the palm trees in the background. He's in Dubai at the moment. What was the reason to do the last couple of weeks of your camp out in Dubai?
I'm actually. It's fun. It's a funny story. Like I have me flights booked over here since August because my girlfriend, she's an English teacher and she moved over here in August to do a year of teaching to see if she'd enjoy it or not. So I actually thought I was meant to be fighting on an earlier card in the year, and I booked to come out after that, but the card never went through, and I was coming anyway. So yeah, I was coming anyway, and then a week or two just before I was about to leave, I got the offer to fight in Dubai. So I said, "Fuck it, I'll while I'm over here, I may as well just stay here and do me camp here." So I got onto John Mitchell, who's been living over here, and hooked up with him. And yeah, we've been training since the end of November. So I'm here just over about 8 weeks now, I'd say.
First time fighting in Dubai?
Yeah, first time fighting in Dubai. I think this is one of the first MMA shows to be on in Dubai, or if not the first, maybe there's only been a handful. So
True.
yeah, it's going to be a big event, hopefully, and hopefully they can pull it off. So the card is decent on the night, so it's just a matter of us doing our job and hopefully everything else works out. You know what I mean?
I do always feel sorry for fighters booked in January because it does mean some sacrifices over Christmas and New Year. I mean, you're at the end of January, so it's not like one of those guys
Yeah.
booked on the first week, second week of the new year. But how have you managed that, and specifically dealing with the Christmas period? Because we all like to indulge a little bit and a little bit too much food and drink at times.
Yeah, it was different, alright. Like the one day of the year that I do anything with my friends is Stevens' Day. We go out and we just have few points, do a few bets, and watch the football, or do a few horse racing bets and stuff like that, and just get fairly messy. But I'm fighting now. Well, since I'm seven, nearly, I'm fighting now for nearly 10 years now,
Mm.
from amateur to pro, and I've never had to sacrifice a Christmas or a New Year's. So I think I've done well enough to get to this far to not have to
Mm.
sacrifice it. But yeah, look, it is what it is. I think the task at hand for me is far greater than any occasion could ever weigh. So I didn't really give a shit. Like, to be honest, I'm here over here with my girlfriend, and our brother. I spent Christmas with our brothers over here as well, and his wife, and his wife was pregnant at the time, so we didn't really have to. It wasn't like we had to entertain a big party and kind of
Mm.
energy or anything like that. So it kind of worked out well for me. But yeah, for the most part, man, I actually saw it as an extra bit of a challenge, and like that kind of mental battle that I like to take on, and in terms of me discipline and me mental control, we'll say. But yeah, it wasn't too bad in fairness. Obviously, I was a bit away from my family and my friends at home, um, which wasn't that big of an issue either. It was I find Christmas very boring anyway, so yeah, with no skin off me back. You know what I mean?
Well,
The NFL season is winding down, unfortunately, but the NFL wildcard games and the playoffs are coming up, and Inside Fighting, we're happy to say, has partnered up with DraftKings, who is an official partner of the NFL. And right now, if you're a new DraftKings customer, you can go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, bet $5, you'll receive $200 of bonus bets if you use our promo code Inside Fighting at sign up. You can use those bonus bets on same game parlays, or if sports betting is not yet available in your state, do not worry about it. Just go play DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports and get in on the action there. Again, if you're a new DraftKings customer, go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, bet $5, you'll receive $200 of bonus bets if you use our promo code Inside Fighting at sign up. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. The crown is yours.
well, I think when we talk about the fight, the biggest storyline at the moment is the change of opponent. You were supposed to fight, I believe it's Kassam Magomed. He's now pulled out and you're now facing Ahmed
Yeah.
Magomedov. So first and foremost, give me your overall reaction to the news of the change, and your new opponent.
Yeah, Yeah, so I don't know. The news of the change didn't actually shock me too much, to be honest. I wasn't. I don't know. I wasn't that surprised by it, and that sounds funny enough to say, but I just had a gut. And I was chatting to John about this. We actually both had a gut feeling that he would pull out for some reason. And I don't know why. I wasn't saying it to anyone. Like I wasn't saying, "Oh, I think this guy's gonna pull out," because I didn't know he was gonna pull out. But it was just a gut feeling, instinct in me. And I just felt like something was going to happen. And I remember John. I very rarely text John. It's always kind of like important, need to know stuff. I text
Mm.
John for like business stuff, and I just seen the message, and I didn't even read it. I just seen the notification, and me belly started going. John, me
Mm.
butterflies start going, and I just goes, please don't tell me this lad's at the pulling out. Looked at it, and the message was saying he pulled out, but then straight away down underneath it was that they had Akhmed Magomedov there ready
Mm.
to go to step in straight away. So I was like, fucking, at least I'm not being stung without a fight, and they got me someone. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because I was already training like eight weeks at that point, or about 8 weeks at that point for the fight. So
Mm.
to train that long and to not get a fight would have been just sickening,
Yeah.
especially after giving up Christmas and all that jazz. But yeah, so it is what it is. Really, I don't really give it like last year. I had an opponent pull out as well, so it's not a new emotion, not a new feeling, not a new situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I think I checked his record before we jumped on. Don't think he's fought since 2023, and I think that was a loss to Henry Corrales. How do you prepare
Yeah.
for a guy who hasn't been active? Because obviously that tape, there's only so much tape that you got have in terms of in recent footage.
Yeah, well, there's not really a whole lot you can do. Even with active guys, everyone might change their strategy fight by fight. So I don't really delve too much into tape to let it be the be all and end all of my approach. All
Mm.
I just saw kind of some strategies to work on if that is the case. Like if he does come out the way he was in the last fight, what I'm gonna do around that type of fighter. But if he comes out a different way, it's just about being adaptable and being reactive on the night. 9 times out of 10, the Dagestani guy is gonna try to take you down and wrestle you.
Mm.
So maybe 10 times out of 10, I don't know why I'm even saying 9 times out of 10,
True.
10 times out of 10, they're gonna try to take you down. So it's kind of, you know, it's kind of predictable that's going to happen. He's gonna do everything in his power to close the distance, push me up against the fence, take me down, or something of that sort.
Mm.
So yeah, it's not a whole lot to worry about in terms of me not being prepared because his tape is so old. But ultimately, 2 years, like 2 years ago, we fought. Like if I'm like saying anything about the tape, yeah, maybe that doesn't go in my favor, and I'm coming in a bit blind to how he may have improved in them 2 years. But ultimately, in them 2 years, I've had 5, 6 fights, in the time
Mm.
he hasn't. So, um, whether he has tape, whether he's using the tape on me as to his advantage, that's so be it. But reality is, like I've spent time in the ring. I've done the weight cuts. I've done the weigh-ins. I've done the face-offs. I've made the walk. I've fought
Mm.
me fights. I've won. I've experienced. I've spent time. I've done the shift. 5 or 6 times in the time that he last has. You know,
Yeah.
so that's one thing in my favor. The other thing in my favor is that it's a big card for him to jump in on somewhat 5 weeks notice or 4 weeks notice. I'm a very, very tough fight for him. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on him, to step in to such a big card after not being active for 2 years to fight someone who's been consistently active.
Mm.
That's another thing in my favor. And the last thing in my favor is that like it's an Ireland versus Russia predominantly matched card, right? If he
Mm.
loses to an Irish guy, he's going to be absolutely shunned from the Russian community or the Dagestani community. So that's even more pressure on him. Do you know what I mean? So he can, in his head, he's not fought in 2 years. He's going to be shunned from his country if he loses, and he's fighting a fucking killer. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So, and I am there to prove a point. like this whole thing of the Dagestani's been untouchable. I am gonna show like that is a myth, and I'm at the minute I'm over here training with Coach Ozzy, and he's a Russian guy, and he's instilling some Russian like fundamental kind of principles in MMA with my wrestling, counter wrestling, my constant pressure. I'm already a pressure fighter, but he's instilled some new tactics and tricks into me to prepare me to fight someone of that mindset. And who better to train me to be a Russian than a Russian guy? You know what I mean? He knows his people, he knows what they do, what they're capable of, and he knows what I'm capable of. So it was about tailoring, what we've been doing in the gym to suit this new opponent. But in terms of that, that's I just feel so strong and confident that I'm gonna go through this guy on the night. You know what I mean?
You mentioned it there, and I did want to ask you about that because we've seen the continuation of the Ireland versus Dagestan debate. I think the biggest storyline came out when Khabib came out and did that interview where he kind of slammed the Irish fighters' skills and their accomplishments relative to what Dagestan or Russia have done. Just your overall take on that debate, and more specifically about Khabib's comments, because I think it has kind of re-sparked that from obviously the original between McGregor and Khabib himself.
Yeah, ultimately I think it was a promotional tactic. You know what I mean,
Of
to sell
course.
the fight a little bit.
Mm.
But I do believe he believes that's true, because I think them lads have a bit of an arrogance about them, and they think that they're the best thing since sliced bread, and they kind of have that bully mentality and blah blah blah. But ultimately, I think it's a bit ignorant. You know what I mean? I think he's going off what he maybe has experienced himself. He went out, he fought in Beck Connor, so I think he's just painting us all with the one brush because he's had success against an Irishman. But in reality, you know what I mean? It's we are the next generation, we are the new wave. Like, I've been doing this since I'm a nipper, you know what I mean? Like, I've been doing
Mm.
this just as long as a Dagestani, you know what I mean? Training pure martial arts, and I've competed in the world championships against the best as an amateur. I competed against high level guys as a pro, and I've sparred with countless amounts of Russian guys in Thailand, and so like
Mm.
I know for a fact I am not out of my depth with this like fella. If anything, he's out of his depth with me, because I have nothing to lose. He has his pride and his Dagestani reputation all at stake if he loses to me. You know
Mm.
what I mean? If I lose, I'm just losing to a fella who I was supposed to lose to on paper. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
so I feel no pressure going into this. You know what I mean? I feel like this is a fight that's a match made in heaven for me. You know what I mean? Give me the well, even though it is technically pressure, like give me the fight before the co-main event. I'm finding it meant to be a fucking well, he got popped for steroids before, but I'm fighting a fucking strong Dagestani guy who's coming to represent this country against the Irish and show how better he is, blah blah blah. Bring it all on. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
I'm more than ready for this. I genuinely believe I'll be a world champion, and he's just a lad that's in my way to get where I want to get. And the I think the better thing about it is he is a Dagestani. So when I beat him, and then I can kind of throw it back in Khabib's face and what he said, and just saying, look, have a bit of respect for us. We're the next generation. Don't be writing us off. We're just as good as fighters as anyone else. You know what I mean? And I think when Khabib said that, I was kind of just sitting back on, okay, what should I do now? What should I do now in 2 weeks' time? When you see, when you see, do you know what I mean? That's all was going through my head. I'm a motivated guy as it is. I don't really need motivation to fight people, but when I seen him say that, I was kind of like, okay, we'll see.
Mm.
Now you'll be humbled. You'll be humbled when you see.
Here's a question I have for you to highlight the skills of Irish fighters at the moment. Not in any particular order, but who would you say are the top five pound for pound fighters, Irish fighters at the moment?
At the moment, well, I'm gonna have to say Ian Garry, Paul Hughes,
Mm.
um, Irish fighters. Jace, who else is there? You're gonna have to help me here. I don't want to be biased and say my teammates, but I probably will have to throw a few of my
Say your
teammates in
teammates if
there.
that's what you think. That's not a problem.
Yeah, like Richie Smullen would be up there as well. Um, who else? Jesus, man. Can I throw myself in? I'm not
Oh,
gonna throw myself in.
you're more than welcome to throw yourself into.
I throw myself in there maybe as well. And I'm not. I'm gonna exclude myself. Jesus, who else? Fuck. Jesus, man, it's hard to. I'm trying to be James Sheehan. James Sheehan would be up there as well. Cage Warriors world champion. Kieran Clark I could throw in. Kieran's great all around. Fuck, there's so many, man. There's so Derek Kelly, Lee Hammond. You know, oh man, it's very hard to pick
Mm.
because it's kind of it's just gonna be like a favoritism thing, really.
Mm.
But you know, there's a lot of good Irish talent now leading the lines, and we're you know fight by fight showing that you know we're meant to be where we're meant to be, and that we're gonna excel to heights that we know we can reach. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah, 100%, mate. Well, turning the conversation back to yourself for one final
Yeah.
question. You're 11-2 in your career now going into this huge fight. I think I checked your record. 9 first round stoppages on your record, and I don't feel like people are maybe talking about you in the way in which they probably should. So my question to you is, obviously the focus is the 25th of January, but what are your goals for the next kind of 12-month periods? What's next for you? Because I feel like you're at that point when you win this fight, we need to step up. We need to start talking about big things. So in your mind, what do you envisage past January 25th?
Yeah, you know, I feel if I finish this guy inside hopefully if I get another first round finish, man, I, Paul Hughes was able to call for a world title shot. I'd love to fight Pitbull, man. I'd love that fight. I know there's a bit of dispute about his contract and what the crack is with him and stuff like that. And if he wants to leave, so be it. If they need to give him one more fight to see him out, let me have that fight. You know what I mean? There's already a bit of a history with the Pitbull brothers and SPG Ireland, you
Mm.
know, in the past, and I think that'd be a nice sell. And you know, there's never been a Bellator world champion to come from SPG, even though we've had opportunities. I'd love to be the one to finally bring that home and you know win that title for the gym. But yeah, Pitbull is one I'd love, bro. I think you know he's a legend of the game. He's been around. I'd be honored to share the cage with him. He's a perfect. You think he's a bit smaller than me, but he's built. He's similar like body like shape and frame to me. He has a similar style to me. You know, he's game as fuck, and like I said, he's a legend of the game. So to share, you know, the octagon with someone that experienced, you know, especially at this stage of my career, to potentially dethrone a legend and take the title, and maybe then I'll be the next wave of the new generation. You know what I mean? That's
Mm.
what I'd love. And now whether I get it that or may it be a number one contender shot maybe next after this, but you know I'd love to fight. I'd love to take out this lad and then fight Pitbull. Maybe hopefully then if he's gone from the PFL, you know, take his title from the Bellator and PFL, whatever it is, take his title, and then I'd be the new king on the throne. You know what I mean? Whether that be the end of this year or early next year, I'm not too sure, but that's something. You know, if I get a nice finish, I feel like I'm gonna be on the mic calling out Pitbull 100%.
I love it. I think that's the best place for us to end. Nate, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Have a great and safe rest of the camp, and best of luck for the next fight.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it, bro.